Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. Nate and Josh kicking off the work week here on Monday with you guys. Got some early games in the slate here, but we're going to be keeping it to the games that start normal time here. First game we're going to be looking at is a 7 p.m. Eastern start, but we're going to get right into this stuff here. We've got some best bets on the sides and totals. Also have our player props in this episode, so make sure to subscribe to that channel. Let's get right into things. So we're kicking it off with your Celtics here, Nate, taking on the Blazers at home, but you like the Blazers to cover.
Yeah, it's a lot of points for a Blazers team that's been pretty feisty since getting Drew Holiday back. They were great with him early in the season. Now they got him back. They won 3 straight, then dropped to back-to-back, and now they're on 2 days rest. So it's a good spot, I think, to come back with them. Even if Denny Avdia does not play, they won 2 of those without him, right? And he left injured in the other. They're still the number 2 defense in the last 5 in terms of defensive rating, and they have Jeremy Grant back, and in a 26-game sample since the start of December, they scored 9 more points per game with Jeremy Grant. Going to be huge here if this is a more of a half-court game, because that's the way the Celtics like to play, right? They're with their slow pace. In that half-court game, Toumani Camara on Jaylen Brown is a good matchup for the Blazers, at least. He's held them to 45% shooting and a 110 offensive rating in 3 meetings, and then you get Drew on White or Pritchard. Obviously there's a little bit of an extra motivation here for guys like Drew Holiday and Robert Williams. The Blazers are a team you just like to come in and grab at this type of number, at least when they have their guys. In terms of the leadership, they're 18-11 ATS as dogs this season. So it just seems like a good spot. The Celtics also just a little bit inflated from their crazy early season results, and they're still very good, but they're probably going to settle into more just being a above average team and not just like the world beaters against the spread that they were early in the year.
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm still scared of the Celtics because I underestimated them, I should say, coming into the season. I'm not the only one, but they've surprised me in a way that, you have a better beat on this than I do. I'll just say that. So I feel like I have a beat on this Magic and Cavs game, though. I do think this goes over. And I'm looking at Jalen Suggs when I start with the Magic. Like, he's such an impact on their pace and how they play that I'm looking at him playing, and I know Franz is out, but that hasn't really mattered too much for this type of total, because with Suggs this season, as long as he's playing, which has been 24 of the 44 games they've had, they're up at about $1.18 a game, playing at a 102 pace, 101.8, we'll call it. They're playing at a 97 pace in the 20 games that he's missed. And Franz played in a bunch of those. And Franz is a guy that doesn't necessarily play fast. He is good in transition, and he is good going to the bucket, but he's also a guy that will take some time off the clock in the offense when they don't have transition. And Suggs is a guy that's going to pull, and he's been given that green light this season, especially with the way that Desmond Bane has been slowly coming into the offense. But also Bane without Franz does open things up a bit. And so even in these games where they've had those other 3 between Paolo, Bane, and Jalen without Franz this season, which is a healthy sample size of about 13 games, they're still averaging, their games are averaging 239 in those situations. There was a streak where they were like the 5th fastest team in the league for like 7 straight games before Jalen Suggs went down again. And now he's back. And I do think he's going to be playing close to 30 in this one once again. So when you look on the other side, the reason that this is still under 230 is because Darius Garland's not in. That is the reason that this total would have been higher, because this team is averaging about a much faster pace with Garland as well. But there have been a number of games without Garland that have also seen guys like Lonzo Ball sitting and Sam Merrill. They should be suiting up. And you're talking about DeAndre Hunter. Doesn't really have an impact on the pace. He's questionable. Not sure if he's going to go, but everybody else is in. Key thing for me is those guards for them playing alongside Donovan that are available, and that should help this thing get to about 230.
Yeah, I was researching this for sure. I might still fire it. You convinced me a little bit more. But the only thing that scared me off it is the Cavs have been top 5 defending the rim in the last few, and the Magic, I don't really trust their perimeter offense the way Paolo's been going. But with Suggs in there, it's definitely a big boost, like you said, for that offense and for the perimeter stuff with what he brings to the table. Rockets team total is 117.5, and reason I'm taking this and not the game total is because you never know how seriously they're going to take like a young upstart team in terms of like, will they lock up and hold them to 98 points? It's definitely possible, but I think they'll still smack down the Grizz here in terms of dropping about 120. Rockets have started to find their offensive rhythm a little bit And it hasn't resulted in some big totals because 4 of their last 5 home games have been against some of the best defenses out there: Spurs, Wolves, Thunder, Suns. Against the other 4 teams they've hosted in that span, averaging 120 a game. In 5 versus Memphis with Udoka as the head coach, averaging 122 a game. The Grizzlies, obviously without Ja Morant now for the foreseeable future and without much experience or defensive prowess outside Jaren Jackson Jr., are vulnerable. And most importantly, giving up the most points off turnovers in their last 5 is Memphis. Also, league worst, 47% on normal distance threes, and 4th worst against small forward recently. And Kevin Durant now just absolutely cooking. Jock Landale has been a liability in pick and roll defense. So I just think this Rockets offense will have a pretty good night at home.
Yeah, they should. The offense has sputtered a bit, but this could be a nice get right game for them. The way Memphis has been speeding teams up a ton as well. So I'm with this one. I mean, Memphis. We'll see what happens with them. It feels like Ja wants to stay now, or at least he was trying to keep his trade value down. Almost like he knows if he plays, he's upping his. It's a weird little game of chess there. But as far as this game goes, the Bulls are much back to almost full health. I guess Zach Collins is really the only guy missing. They're pretty much fully healthy for the guys that matter in this one, especially with Sticks, Jalen Smith getting those good backup minutes now and starting a couple games as well. We'll see what they do now that they have options with Giddey. But I think this game goes over with the way that Chicago's playing with Giddey. That's really what this comes down to at the end of the day. I mean, the Lakers are not playing super fast, but if they play a team that is not good on offense, then they or excuse me, on defense, the way the Bulls are not, they should be fine. If you look at the way they played against teams that are good on defense as of late, like the Clippers and the Raptors, those teams are going under. You look at them playing against fast-paced teams, a la the Blazers in their last one, getting up to about 248. So I think we're going to have another high pace. We know it's going to be that way when the Bulls are playing, especially at home. With Giddey, we're talking about an offensive rating that jumps up and a defensive rating that jumps down with him out there as well. They're definitely trading guys like Io and other athletes that are coming out. Even Huerter getting a bit more minutes is a better defensive matchup for guys than is Josh Giddey and the way he's played. I don't know if he's just completely sold out to play offense and be the engine that just plays 35, 36 minutes with like a 30% usage. And that's the reason he's not playing as much defense. But these games are averaging up at about 238.5 with him playing over the last month or so, which is he's missed a bunch recently, but he's definitely back up to about full minutes. And this is going to be the Bulls team we remember before he went down.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say is, I mean, yeah, the Bulls early in the season were breakneck pace, tons of points. You would never see a total this low with them in Chicago and them able to dictate pace. And it's just a question of, is Giddey going to be back sooner rather than later? I mean, they've been very competitive. I definitely would lean towards the Bulls winning this one here as the Lakes continue their road trip. But I also think Giddey's going to go over on the RA here. And you're just kind of like worried about the minutes restriction, I guess, if you're not taking this. But he's only been back 2 games. He was able to go for 10 dimes on 14 potentials against Boston in just 24 minutes. And Boston, very good limiting assists, but have struggled against the point guard lately. And that's exactly where the Lakers are at. They have allowed 7 of their last 8 primary ball handlers to go over on the assist prop and allowed the second most assists to point guards in the last 15 behind only Boston. Now, Giddey going up against Luka, 28 times in 2 matchups since Luka joined the Lakers. Also, Trey Jones is out. So it's just, yeah, if you're trying to read the tea leaves here early and decide how the Bulls are going to play it, it's kind of like, do we really need to tread water lightly? Are the Bulls are not a team that sits guys for weeks at a time and tanks. They are a team that goes all in for the play-in every single year, right? So they're going to let Giddey do his thing. If they're resting him or they're bringing him back slowly, it's because they want him to be a full go. But, after a couple games under his belt, I think he's looked pretty solid. We're just probably projecting up to like 28 minutes at this point, in which case this prop is very low for a guy who leads the team in rebounds per game at home or is tied with Vooch and is grabbing a very high rate of his rebounds as well. Because the team defers to him. Jalen Smith also, who like you said, is playing, and I like his threes as a prop here, and that tied to Giddey, but he is not a good rebounder when he's down there. So Giddey will swoop in and grab a couple away from him as well, and that's why I like tacking that onto the assists.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's played now. I mean, he's getting a day or two off consistently here, missed a game as well, or actually had like a nice 4-day rest in between the Wolves games. So I think he's going to be back up to, like you said, 26 seems to be a reasonable projection. And then there's a definitely world where he plays up to 30 in this one. And that should be about all he needs, because this number's up at like 17 and a half and higher when he's expected to play like 35 minutes or so like he was normally. But let me get over to Marcus Smart, because we're still getting a good price on Marcus. It's unfortunate he just played in Boston his to start his career, because it's always going to be that for me now with him. But when we look at this matchup against the Bulls, like, yeah, catch and shoot stuff is going to be widely available. This is a bottom 5 defense limiting catch and shoot. They're also bottom 5 limiting everything going to the rim, and the worst defense specifically at the rim as well. And Marcus is scoring 80% of his points either off of catch and shoot stuff outside the arc, or going to the rim and finishing inside of 5 feet, and really just in the paint as well. So the 9.5 for me, it like without even if you have LeBron and Luka, and you can even throw Ayton in there if you want as like guys that are available. This rotation is so thin, and the usage is so starving for guys that are willing to just pull off of Luka's catch and shoot stuff, that Marcus Smart's been getting those minutes. He's been playing at least like in the high 20s, and without Reeves consistently in the low 30s. So to me, this just doesn't make any sense against a Bulls squad. I mean, he's gone over this number now in 6 of his last 7 games. And in those 7 games, we're talking about LeBron and Luka being available for 6 of those 7. So there was only 1 game that Luka missed. LeBron's played in all of them. And this guy's still performing the exact same for them as in terms of the role for what he's needed, which is a guy that's either in the corner or back up top. Once Luka drives, he's taking the top of the key 3. If Luka's driving, he's already in the corner. That's his outlet pass. So love this for Marcus tonight.
Yeah, and he should be locked into minutes with Giddey and White healthy for the Bulls. I mean, yeah, he's the closest thing to a stopper the Lakers have. So definitely like that as well. Yeah, as far as just the 9.5 points. And like Jalen Suggs at 11.5 points, but love Anthony Black at 15.5 here. I mean, he still played a team high 40 minutes with Suggs back, because they don't have Franz, and it's not just positionally here. It's what Anthony Black brings to the table as far as being a true north-south attacker that the Magic lack, because Paolo, I mean, he's just not had a rhythm all year, and he just likes to do this side-to-side dancing thing. He's just not a quick first step. And I mean, I think this is what you need against Cleveland. We saw Black get this number against them last time out, hit a few threes. And I mean, the Cavs have been really bad against attacking guards all year, really bad guarding the 3-point line. And so I don't think it's a fluke that he hit 3 threes. He's found it in his last 7 now. I mean, shooting 43% from deep. And to the point about your over with the Cavs, when they're back home, they've scored 123 a game, and they've allowed 123 a game in their last 10 versus, much lower scoring games on the road. So that certainly plays into any overs. Black had the ball in his hands a ton with Suggs back. He's actually averaging 14, 6, and 5.5 in 7 with Suggs, and has 16 plus now. So hit this in 11 of his last 15 with guys in and out of the lineup for the Magic, of course, because they can't stay healthy, but they've found something in this young guard.
Yeah, I think we're getting a good number here, man. 15.5, and this is 17, 18, even 19.5 without Franz, and with Suggs, it's been as high as like 18.5 as well. So yeah, I think the biggest value point in the edge here is the fact that Suggs is back, and that doesn't impact Anthony Black the way people might think, especially the earlier version of this version of Anthony Black versus the earlier version, which was like, he's still expected to stand in the corner and be tentative. And now it's like, nah, you got the green light, because like, probably in part because of what you said, Paolo it's not just his first step that's not quick, it's his first decision that's not quick either. And so there's room and availability and usage for other guys at this point. But this is a bet I love to make when Steph is playing against Minnesota. He doesn't have Jimmy Butler. You could argue, I'm not going to make that point that he's better or worse without Jimmy. I don't think there's necessarily a huge impact. I know there isn't. When you look at the stats with and without Jimmy, since Jimmy's come to the team, it's just like Steph gonna Steph. And in fact, when Jimmy's around, there's been times where, yeah, he's more the focal point of the offense, but he's also upping his assists in those situations. Well, now he's coming up against the Wolves. And this is a spot that I kind of like to, like, betting can be stressful. And sometimes you can just go, I don't need to worry about this one too much. I know what I'm doing. I got a strategy coming into this. When Steph is playing against the Warriors, He is shooting a ton of threes above the break, and he's doing everything he can to drag this team to victory because they're really also rarely double teaming him, which is a big reason why the assists are a little bit sketchy. They were at 4.5 early in the season, and I took it. It was plus money. Now it's 5.5 against this squad, even without Jimmy. So I think for Steph, you look at his basically the last 3 seasons against this team. It's a sample size of like 14 games that we have here, and he's hit 5 threes in all but 3 of those games against this squad, averaging almost 6. So like I'll just take this for plus money without worrying too much about. No, it's not a great matchup. No, that you don't want to take too many overs against Minnesota. And yes, Minnesota could do all they wanted to just throw every guy at Steph, even though they don't really do that, and they have the drop defense of Rudy. So I feel comfortable just playing this system play here for Steph against the Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, the Wolves have not been disciplined defensively for like a good month now. Like you can't trust them to shut anybody down or to do what they're supposed to do. I mean, their stopper, Jaden McDaniel's not really a matchup for Steph. I trust him to go off here. I mean, there's some weird stuff going on in Minnesota for sure that I guess creates some uncertainty about this game. But I mean, Steph gonna be out there doing his thing, and it seems like a good number here at plus money.
Yeah, for sure. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one, though. Definitely appreciate you following along. We'll be back the rest of this week. Got plenty of action for you in the NBA as we have one break here on the week from the NFL until we're back with Super Bowl. So until we see y'all next, happy betting.